Hello my guys, welcome to SimuRpg. Really nice to meet you all guys. First video of our channel. I got a few friends that already knows the channel, but this is actually the first video that I want to present to you guys. So thank you so much. If you're watching, I appreciate you. Final Fantasy 7 Remake. This is the chapter 1. We're gonna break down, and of course this is hard mode, and see some theories 5 years after the release of the game. And no doubt there's a lot to see. Now this is a beautiful game, a game that touches our heart, a game that is part of the history of all the amazing RPGs. Not only Final Fantasy VII OG is the pillar of innovation on RPGs, Final Fantasy VII Remake brings us, no doubt about it, a feeling of warmth inside our hearts, especially if you played Final Fantasy VII, the first one, back on the PlayStation 1. Alright, let's talk about where it all begins. Chapter 1 of Final Fantasy VII Remake. The intro is explosive, both literally and figuratively, setting up everything we need to know about the world of Midgar, Shinra, Avalanche, and our protagonist, Cloud Strife. But here's the thing. There's a lot more going on beneath the surface than what meets the eye. Whether you played the original or you're jumping in Final Fantasy VII for the first time, Chapter 1 is packed with details, foreshadowing and hidden clues about how this remake might be rewriting history. And trust me, we have some wild theories to dive into. So this is Midgar like you never saw it before, you know? And it's a beautiful city full of life, darkness, alleys, and an amazing soundtrack, isn't it? Because the city is alive everywhere you see it. You got sounds, you got motorcycles, you got people walking, people talking, kids running. This is just amazing, you know? So, first of all, let's talk about how Remake introduces us to Midgar. If you played the original, you remember that quick fade in, Aerith looking into the leaking macro like we saw, the camera panning up to the city, and then boom, we're on the train with Cloud. But in Remake, this intro is longer, more cinematic, and already starts hinting at deeper themes. We'll see that the game in itself sets all the stages, you know, all the beginning and all the life of this first chapter. And it's fun because in some of the observations that we can see, especially in the Aerith part of Final Fantasy VII Remake, we can see that in the original she just kneels and then walks away. But here, she looks worried, she senses something, as if she knows something is off, you know, time-wise. This could be an early sign of how the planet is reacting to excessive macro use. Or even hinting at something bigger, like the timeline shifts we'll talk about later. And Midgar scale in Shinra's control, we get a much more detailed look at the city. Neon lights, traffic, Shinra soldiers patrolling. Midgar feels alive, but also oppressive. Under an influence, under that dark influence that Shinra leaves it everywhere. Making it clear that this is just some cyberpunk dystopia, you know? It is a city controlled down to his very last breath. And Shinra here holds all the power, all the magnitude, everything. It's really scary that a corporation like this can hold, you know, everything in this point. Well, I know that some of you are actually asking, but Simu, how come this looks so, you know, so shady, so black, so... It is, and it is crazy. You'll see during the game what we mean and what is actually going on. Alright, now let's talk about Cloud. You know, right from the moment he jumps off that train, he's cold, detached, classic Cloud, right? But there's also something off about him. I don't know, there seems to be a jellied look, a more surprising thing inside his Mako eyes. You know, because, for example, in the original, Cloud feels a little more cocky, different, straight up arrogant, actually at times. But in Remake, there's a subtle, you know, a small difference. You know, he still plays, you know, the cool mercenary, but there's hesitation in his voice, and he's definitely not entirely sure of himself, you know. It's strange, because in the first game we don't see that. In the first game, it looks like it's just, you know, more cocky, more up to that point that, hey, I got this.
So
I'm soldier. Been here, done that.
He's got balls, this,
You know?
what was his name again?
Cloud.
Way more different than this Cloud here, you know?
He's a professional, unlike the rest of us. I'm glad
And we see that through Jessie's suspicion and stuff that she says to Biggs,
we're done.
you know? We'll look forward to continue to show you that different aspect. Jessie's suspicion, one of the biggest additions to this chapter, chapter 1, is somehow that Jessie has extra dialogue, you know? And she keeps on forcing it, and she's really curious about Cloud's past. You know, making comments, questioning Biggs, and even asking about his soldier training and all the things that he done. Well, not all the things, but a lot of things that he have done as a soldier. And that means to me that she feels like he's not 100% there. Well, he's there, alright, but feels like he's not 100% himself. Could Jessie suspect that this is a different thing, different timeline? It doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about it. No, Jessie is not a main character on the first Final Fantasy, but then again, maybe there's something up, right? Or, you know, it can be just the kind of love affair that Jessie is, but she's way more flirty in this game. Is she just interested in him? Or is she already noticing something strange about the story? About his inquisitions? About... I don't know. The story for her doesn't seem to be on point. Doesn't seem to be real, right? We'll actually see this during the game and during this mission, and I can see that is really bothering her. Also, of course, makes her to question him a lot. But we'll see. We'll see in the next few minutes in this episode. We'll see a lot of things about some aspects that change in this game, especially around Cloud.
No holding back.
So while we are actually fighting most of the grunts here, well, let's call it grunts, you know, Chiran soldiers, Chiran forces, some mechanical robots, you know, but basically this is, even for a hard mode, this is quite simple, quite easy to do the first part, especially if you finish the game already. You'll see how easy that is to just go around. In this first chapter there's not a lot to do, of course, just, you know, very closed, so it's really easy to do everything, which is great, you know. We love it, and that's the way we love it, no doubt about it, to have an introduction in the game. Really important in this part is this really a plan from Avalanche?
So how do we get to the bridge?
Because, you know, it seems all too easy. It seems all too, you know, the scheduling, the lack of high security, and once again we see, you know, Cloud memories fractured. Once again we saw it here on this part of the video, and of course I know, you know, that this will run smooth, this will actually work, but was this part of the plan, Avalanche plan? Of course most of the plan is Avalanche, but, you know, there's a big but here. Is this a Shinra trap? And who really blew up this reactor? You know, because that's what's gonna happen. No spoilers alert. We already know. You know, if you are a fan of Final Fantasy VII, you know what happened here. If you're not, if you recently joined, you will see by yourself. But you know, you got some spoilers up ahead as well. So, who really blew up the reactor? Let's get into the mission itself. Avalanche is bombing this macro reactor 1, you know. In the original, you plant the bomb, it goes off, and you escape. Simple, you know. You know, in the original one, it doesn't give you a lot of, I don't know, space to wander or space to think about it, because it's definitely very easy. You go there, you KO a bunch of stuff, and you just plant the bomb, set up the timer, and you'll see. But in this remake, there's definitely a major difference about this mission. See, back in the question of Cloud, you saw the questions that Chassis was making, you know. Way different from the first, of course. We got this small cutscene here showing, you know, a bit of Nibelheim, and it's like Cloud, the first person, and there you go, you know, his friend Tifa, you know, they were childhood friends, but were they really friends? Because as we can see, or as we saw, or if you know the story, they weren't that close to each other, were they? You know, I think they were not, and we all know that they definitely were not friends by that time.
These sewer rats appear to call
Back to this topic of the Shinra trap, or who really blew up the reactor. And we see President Shira and his top executives watching Avalanche movements in real time. And this changed everything, doesn't it? This changes everything. You know, they know, why are not they doing something about it?
While you eat,
The answer might be,
sucker
this is not 100% the plan of Avalanche. Could this be a plan of Shinra to make, you know, the world more, you know, trustful of them and blaming Avalanche for it instead of, you know, Shinra getting the blame? I don't know. Hopefully we got to see this here. Well, instead of Cloud and the gang causing the mass destruction, Shinra himself triggers a secondary explosion that really tears apart the sector. Oh, who have told that? I will see more in the video that this will happen. We'll see when we set up the bomb and stuff like that. As soon as we get out of there, what happens is
Well, so much for having
Shinra itself
There are some places
gets
a sword just
involved.
can't reach.
That way different from the OG.
Bear with him for me, would you?
Way different from the OG game.
Should have asked for more money.
But it makes us wonder what is in line. Why is different? Right? Makes us think, why is this different from the rest of the Final Fantasy VII OG? That bears the question, is this a main line? Is this a main line of Final Fantasy? Well, I will let you decide. Now, most of us already know a few things about the game and about the story. And, of course, with Final Fantasy Rebirth being out for so long, there are more things that shows us that. But this means the entire event, this event, was orchestrated to make Avalanche looks like a bigger threat than they actually are. Because, see, Avalanche
The laser security system.
was a big cell, but still is a big cell. Part of Utai,
They'll cut you down to size and then some.
or kindish.
But I'm guessing you've done
And
the
people
same
say
thing
that is
before.
not, but
Yeah.
and a part of Utai.
Then make a move when they
But this small cell here
I'll go first.
that we're seeing here of Avalanche with
The blood pumping.
Jesse, Biggs, Wedge, Barrett, and Tifa, they were just 5 guys. You know, 5 extraordinary personas, that's for sure, but they only 5. So that's not a big thing. So why did Shinra allow that? Why Shinra did allow you know, a team so small like these 5 to blow up a main source of energy on the city? Makes zero sense, in my opinion. But what can be is that Shinra benefits from a public enemy. It gives them an excuse to increase security, tighten control over the city, and justify future extreme actions. How about that? Let's install the panic, you know, and fear in the population by using a cell, in this case Avalanche, you know, without them knowing, because they're fighting for the planet. No, they're fighting for everything, you know, for everything they stand for. But are they really? Are they now? It's really not easy to disclosure this in the main game, especially in the main game. The main game is impossible to disclosure such a thing. It's really hard to disclosure that. But here, with all this info and all of the cutscenes, we seeing Shinra making his moves and stuff like that, shows us that in a way Avalanche is playing right into their hands without even realizing it. No, so of course, like I said, this is not big news, big stuff out of the game itself, and the reactor in itself, the bombing of the reactor is not the big news for most of the Final Fantasy VII fans and lore. But after these 5 years that the game came out, begs to question a few things, right? Especially this one. Well, maybe this is just a reminder or refreshing, because most of the things are. But this is very interesting to see how in the story they shape up to have this conclusion that Shinra, as the bad guys, which they are truly, for me, in my opinion, they are truly the enemy. All the things with Sephiroth, all the things with Genova, all the things around that, this is Shinra doing. No, that's not Genova, that's not Sephiroth. Sephiroth is not the bad guy, in my opinion, of course. Most of you will not actually think that, which I understand. It's all good. But I think Shinra is the really the enemy here. All that they stand for and stuff. But as a corporation, they grew up a lot. So I think they do use Avalanche in everything they do on Final Fantasy VII Remake, to install fear into the city, to give them a safe conduct to do everything, even extreme actions. Because we'll see a few of them, and if you play the OG game, you will see that they do a lot of bad things. So they definitely are the ones to benefit of all this madness and all the crazy things that happens on the game, especially during the bombing. Then do the damn job. It's very funny. Barrett is very fun. One of my favorite characters. He's so deep as a character, so well constructed, so awesome. Especially here on Final Fantasy VII Remake is such a good thing. But this feather. Now this feather brings us to one of the things that we're going to see up ahead. Is we will see Sephiroth. No, Sephiroth.
Your call, Merc.
And it's, scary, because in the main game we do not see it. The main game we do not see it. So this is one of the biggest changes, if not the biggest one. Love this fight, dude. I remember when I was a kid playing this. This was really difficulty on the OG one. I don't know, especially because I didn't know how to speak English by then. That's true. So, Sephiroth's early appearance is one of the biggest changes from the original. Is that we see Sephiroth, or at least visions of him, earlier than expected. I was shocked the first time that I saw Sephiroth on the game so early, which, well, I don't know if it makes sense or not, but for them it did make sense, and especially in this new story. Yes, I said it, this is a new story, this is a new installment. This is not just a remake, but I guess everyone knew that already, right? I think everyone knew that. Not only on gameplay wise, in some of the things that we saw earlier on the game, but definitely on the fact that the story is changed. The story is changed. There's no way that is not. Okay, so what's happening to Claude
Focus and find a
to have these visions of Sephiroth, you know? We see that in the original, Sephiroth doesn't appear until much later, and it's a huge shift in storylining, you know? Cloud's past is slowly revealed in the OG, but here, in this game, the hallucinations start immediately after the reactor explosion, and you will see them, you know, after the explosion, and they escape to the main city, which led with chaos and, well, everything that you can actually think about it. You'll see that Cloud already having those visions now and hallucinations immediately. So this suggests, in my opinion, that Genova cells inside Cloud are already reacting to something, you know? There's something different already. We don't know what, but what could it be, right? I think it's the fact that since Genova now feels Sephiroth, it's changing a lot of things around the storyline. Okay, the theory is Sephiroth is aware of the timeline, okay? This is one of the wildest theories, that Sephiroth already knows about the original timeline and it's trying to change things. Does it make sense? Yes, no doubt about it, it does. The way he reacts and what he says, and everything that he does, makes a lot of sense that he has some knowledge. I don't know if it's everything or that he knows everything about it, but definitely he has knowledge about the past timeline. In my head it makes sense, you know. This is clear to me, and well, I think this really shows us what to expect, more or less, on this awesome, you know, the awesome part of gameplay. I always love this, man. You have average right there, you know, because this is New Game Plus. So Sephiroth, knowing all of this, we see that, and we see hints of that later in the game. But this first chapter, it's the first signal that it's not a simple remake, you know? It's something more, it's something bigger, more complex, more elaborate. And there's a plan behind it. I see that is definitely a plan behind it, Sephiroth-wise. I'm not saying that that he's gonna change that much. I think he still are bad in some way, you know, because brainwashed, well, not brainwashed itself, but the craziness that came because of Genova cells and everything that Shinra did, which is not actually what happened. We all know that from the game. But we see those hints right after that, you know, and we'll see especially the fact that when we go to the city and he appears to know more things that he actually should know. Of course, in the in the whole thing about the game is that it's not a proper remake, it's a new installment. We all know that, you know, and we'll see this after the appearance of Sephiroth and everything. The foreshadowing of the Whispers, you know, which is really interesting. The Whispers, they don't actually show up in chapter 1, but their absence is just as important, and you will in later chapters you definitely will see that. We learned that the Whispers, or Arbiters of Fate, exist to preserve the original timeline. But if that's the case, why didn't they stop Shinra from tampering with the explosion? Well, there was an explosion either way, so that might be the one thing that makes no sense. I was looking around for some info on that. Does it make sense? Yeah, that's not a crazy theory, I guess. But some believe this is proof that the timeline is already diverging before we even realize it. See? And that's the thing.
You hear that?
That's the
Damn
thing.
showed you how it's done.
We see
Come on.
things that look familiar, but indeed are changed. You know, and we see in the next chapter that we will definitely see more of it, because as you can see now, the reactor, we planted the bomb, we fight the Scorpion Guard. We won't see the Whispers here in this chapter. Nor we see Sephiroth. We have hints of Sephiroth, you know. But definitely we can feel his presence, especially before the bomb planting. We feel this presence in the beginning, and we feel this presence in here, you know. So I think this definitely is proof that he knows something, and the Whispers on the next chapter will be proof that this timeline is not the same timeline. So definitely, what does this all mean? Well, chapter 1 of Final Fantasy VII Remake does so much more than just retell, you know, relive the beginning of the game. Subtly lays the groundwork for major changes. And we saw major changes during the game, didn't we? And if we continue to actually watch it, this series that we are doing for the first time in this channel, you'll see there's a lot of things and there's a lot of explanation during the final part of the game. In the next chapters, there's already things that will blow your mind, believe me, you know. It's major changes, timeline shifts, and a much bigger mystery at play. It's not only the, hey, you know, it's a different timeline, it's a different thing, we're doing a different... No, this is much more, you know, much more than this. And no doubt about it, I will kind of leave you with 4 points that I took out of all of this, you know. 4 points that for me it's major in this first chapter, other than, you know, the things that you already know, because most of them is just plain to see, right? At least for most of you guys, it is plain to see. So if you play it specially, you know, if you play it specially, but if not, the 4 main points that I actually highlight in this first, you know, chapter of the game. So first of all, Shinra is controlling more than we think, you know. Instead of the first game, it shows that Shinra is controlling more than we think. Way more than we think. And I'm sorry, we're recording this live, so the bombing was not only, wasn't just Avalanche's doing. This is the first thing that we see, okay? Secondly, Cloud is already experiencing memory issues. So his soldier past isn't what it seems. In the first game we didn't see that. We didn't, so this is already another hint for a different part of the game. New timeline, things are changing. Sephiroth might know more than he should. His early appearance hints that timeline manipulation, I don't know, he escaped it and somehow he's trying to change things in order to not be, tied to the fate that he had, but no, definitely I think he's onto something, and we can see in this first chapter, especially because the fact that he already messes with Cloud's mind. And of course, and this is a nice one that I was talking about a few years back with another creator. The Whisper's absence is suspicious in this first chapter, because on the second chapter we'll see that they intervene immediately. Why didn't they intervene then on Shinra bombing this? So the Whisper's absence is suspicious right here, in my opinion. Now, probably, in my opinion, they could already be losing control of the timeline. So they cannot do anything on the timeline. Is Sephiroth preventing them? Sephiroth doing his thing right now? Well, we don't know, but as we can see, Shinra, is controlling things right here, and we don't see the Whispers doing anything to prevent that, the bigger explosion that it was. Now they are definitely doing the explosion way worse, and we'll see in the chapter 2 Jesse will be worried about it. And guys, basically this is just chapter 1. And of course, for you that are new on the game or new in Final Fantasy VII lore, if you think this remake is just a retelling, think again. You don't even need to search that much. Just, for all this info, definitely this is not a retelling of the story. Major twist is ahead, guys, and we will continue to break this down as we continue our gameplay again after 5 years of Final Fantasy VII Remake. In this case, we can say part 1.
Believe me, you'd be the first to know.
But yeah, this is basically our breakdown in this first. This is the first video on SimuRpg. I hope you like it. I hope you have fun. And Cloud is amazing on this jump, dude. I can't wait to see it. That was pretty cool. It was definitely pretty cool. So guys, without further ado, if you did like the video, if you enjoyed the video as much as I did, don't forget to like, subscribe. Please give us your theory as well and your opinion on this video. And thank you so much once again for bringing your time, your love, and your interest in Final Fantasy VII Remake. For me, this was a pleasure to do. It's a game that I really enjoy, and I grew up with this, so of course I love it. So guys, chapter 2 starting here. I'm gonna leave you with chapter 1 intact, and I appreciate all the love. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is SimuRpg from Simuverse Stan. Hope you have fun as much as I am.
Anyway, let's get going. We in Sector 8?
That'd be just down there.
All right then, lead the way.
You got it. Huh. Watch out for live wires. They're everywhere.